Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith, I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I'm coming with a project which I haven't done one of these for a little while. It's a little easel box card. And as you can see, I've used the fabulous new Brewed for You stamp and die set. And hopefully you can see the shine I've got on those glasses, and I've got a really easy way for you to create a lovely glass effect on your projects too. As you can see, little easel box card stands up, and I've just used two of the accent dies from this stamp set. So not only have you got the dies to cut out all the various images of glasses, you've got ones for the inside which also emboss some bubbles, and then you've got this lovely hop and leaves image as well to go with it. So I'm using some of those as the stoppers. I've used as well, you probably can't see it very well, and I'm going to do something slightly different on my sample in here to make it stand out a bit more. I've used the brick and mortar embossing folder to add some texture to the back there. So rather than add the DSP, which I found kind of, after I'd done it, I was like, yeah, not so sure that works. I'm going to just use our embossing folder instead. It's a lovely little reinforced tray. Slips in and out really nicely, but you can see there I've lined it as well, so you could make that a really fabulous tray. This one fits 4 of those ambassador type chocolates, or 4 of similar Lindors or anything else, but it also would fit, my husband's into cycling, so it would fit some of those very expensive but small pieces that I get him. And likewise, if somebody's into photography, obviously there's anything that's kind of small but expensive would look great in here. Or obviously you could just give a chap some chocolates, but another round for your birthday I thought is a great sort of sentiment, and this would make a great focal piece on a bigger card as well. So really really versatile. So that's the project we're going to make. So let's get started. So I'm going to start off with some early espresso again, and first of all you're going to cut at 14 centimetres. I'm working in centimetres as I usually do. I will put inches on my blog, and also in the description box below this video as well. So cut to 14. Just put that to one side for a moment. We're then going to trim this down to 17.5, and then on that long edge you're going to score at 7 and at 10.5. Turn it once, and we're going to score on the short edge at 3.5 and 10.5. Okay, so that's our outer. We're then going to create our drawer, and I've got a piece of card that is 13.6 by 13.6 centimetres, and it's really easy scoring because you're actually going to score at 3.4 on all 4 sides. So I'm measuring on the right hand side here because that's where it's easy when you've got a short one, because it means that most of your card is supported. You can butt it up against this bar here. Okay, so that's our tray. We then want to create our liner. And do you know what? I haven't made a note of those measurements. Okay, so we'll have to do a bit of a quick measure up and see what we come up with. So what you're going to want is a piece of A4 cardstock, but a long thin strip of it. So I'm just going to use my soft suede and cut a piece that's 3.2 centimetres. So again, I'm going to cut on the right hand side here. Just trim that off, and I'll cut it once I finish scoring. So you're going to score at 6.7, 13.4, 20.1 and 26.8, and then just trim that down to 27.8. In fact, you don't even need it, it's just to kind of finish it off. Okay. Other pieces you're going to need. So So we're going to need a piece of soft suede for the front. So this is our layer. And we're going to need a piece for our card as well. We need some scraps of basic white. So our card top is 7 by 14 centimetres, and you're going to score that at 7 centimetres, so that's the halfway point, and 11.5, because you'll see from my sample it isn't an equal one. I just wanted it to be not quite as high. I just thought it would make a nice change, have a slightly shallower effect on the front there. Okay, so that's our kind of card for the top of our box. We then want a layer to go on top of that, and this is slightly small. This is just 6.8 by 6.8, and then we want a piece of basic white that's 6.8 by 6.8 for the inside of that card as well. We're going to need a couple of layers for the sides of our cardstock. I'm going to emboss those as well, and those are 6.8 by 3.3. And then for the front, you want a piece that's just a sort of couple of millimetres smaller than that, so around 6.6, 6.6 by 3.1, something like that. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is do a bit of embossing. So things with our embossing folder, lovely brick and mortar. The great thing with these is that you've got that line to line it up with. So, and because we're obviously doing a couple of pieces, I'm just going to line those up with that line there. And what I am going to do is just ink up, actually before I do that, I'm going to ink that up with my soft suede, which is what I said I was going to do, isn't it? So just take your ink pad and just very lightly add it to the inside of your folder. And what this is going to do is define those bricks a little bit more for us. So the only thing you have to be careful is not to move them once you've put them on. It doesn't, I mean, I say be careful, it doesn't matter too much because you're going to get a kind of textured effect anyway. And she says I'm going to have to do it on that one. But all I'm trying to do is trying to make that brickwork, make sure that brickwork is fairly straight. Small project, doesn't matter too much. Pop that through. Just make sure you get the sandwich right on this one. It's one of our obviously thicker 3D embossing folders, so you're just going to want to make sure that you don't strain. Oh, and I've slipped with them anyway. Oh, okay, we're going to have some wonky bricks. My main one is fine. I think I'll probably redo those side ones. I think they're a little bit too wonky. But never mind. What I am going to do is do my other one for the front of my card. So I'm not going to worry too much about it being perfect. But again, pop that through. And remember, when you put your embossing folder through, you're always going to make sure you put it through hinge first. So when it goes through, this bit goes through the machine first. Ah, there we go. Okay, so that front piece isn't so bad. Okay. So we want to create our various pieces. You're going to take, so this is our tray, you're going to take your snips and we're just going to do a standard sort of pinwheel type box. Now as I say, I've lined this one because I wanted a contrast, but obviously what you could do is you could actually make this just wider and score twice and do a reinforced box. That works well as well. I just fancied sort of having something a little bit different on the inside. So there that's created our basic card. What I want to do while it's flat is I want to add my panel onto the front, but what I want to do is mark where the centre is because I'm going to be hole punching through a couple of pieces. So actually it's easier to mark on this one. So let's say you need to mark about 3.2 centimetres. It doesn't matter too much about it being centred top and bottom, but you do want it to be centred in the middle. And just pop a hole punch through that. Then what I'm going to do is add that to what's going to be the front of my drawer. And wet glue is quite good because obviously it helps to add a bit of stability to the front. And just pop that on the front there. As I've left a wider border because I wanted to have that espresso, and then just go to where you punch the hole and punch through the middle there. And once you've done that, we can get on with actually our ribbon layer. And all I've done, I haven't got any soft suede ribbon. What I have got is some crinkled seam binding. So I'm just going to cut a short length of that. And quite simply, I'm going to come in with just a soft suede marker on a bit of old cardstock here. And all I'm going to do is with my brush end, just colour the centre of that. You don't need to colour all of it because only a little bit's going to be used, but I've left a longer piece. It just makes it easier to work with as we go along. So just leave that to one side. And while we're doing that, while that's drying, I can grab a bone folder and start reinforcing some of these layers. So you want to really burnish these well, particularly this back fold, because you want that to sort of sit down quite nicely. So I would even on this one actually reinforce in the other direction as well, just to make sure that that stuff kind of flaps well. And while we're here, again, let's reinforce those score lines on our outer as well. So having done that on our outer, you want to cut straight down on these two longer panels and then just notch out that centre smaller one. So again, straight down. And then just each side, take a sliver out of there. And when we're creating this, what we're actually going to do is sandwich this tab between the two linings. That's that our drawer doesn't catch when it goes in. So my glue is going to go on the outside of this tab, start off with, and that's going to glue here, and then like so. So just make sure that's nice and square. You've got a nice straight edge there, so you can just pinch that in place. Do the same again on the other side. And then these two pieces are going to have glue added to them, and they're going to go on the inside of that. So again, just fold it in. You could obviously use Seal Plus if you want to. So what I'm going to do is fold that in and press those out to the sides. And if you come in with your bone folder and do a nice bit of burnishing on that. There we go. And that's again going to go off to one side to do a bit of drying. Our ribbon is fine by now, so all I'm going to do is take that ribbon and pop that through there. You could thread it if you wanted to, but just by pinching it together it works absolutely fine. What I'm going to do is pop a bit of my super sticky tape or some Seal Plus on the back of that, because what you want to do is make sure that that's nicely stuck in place. So just decide how big you want that little pull tab to be. There we go. and stick the ribbon down. Then once it's in place, you can just snip off those excess pieces. Okay. So now we can actually start building our inner box up. So with these, you will want something that's strong, so I'm going to grab, those are both my seals. Seal Plus is probably going to be right at the bottom of the pile. Yeah, no, and it's not. Let's slip to the back, there we go. So just add our Seal Plus onto each of our tabs. So obviously you're going to be pulling on those tabs, so you don't want them popping open. What you didn't want to do is do that. Okay, so all we're going to do is line those up on all four corners. By doing it this way, this means you have got a really nice square box, which is important for a drawer. And that's why we want our liner. So you're just going to snip off at that short edge of the liner. That's there. Just reinforce those all the way out. Then you're going to fold it back in on itself, just like so. That's going to go into your box towards the back. Now what I find the easiest way is it will just slide in. If you struggle at all, if you pinch the sides in, it'll be fine. Now you can glue that if you've got time. Just add a bit of wet glue and that will then help reinforce your box really well. So as you can see, that now slides really nicely into our outer tray. Nice snug fit, and we're ready to start adding our card to the top. So I'm just going to make sure I've got plenty of glue on there, and that card is just going to fit straight onto the top of our box. And again, that reinforces that box as well. You can pop a bone folder on the inside to reinforce it. You see it's starting to come together now. It would be even better if I hadn't made a mess of my other panels, wouldn't it? Then all I'm going to do is on that bottom, so 2.5 centimetres, I'm not going quite to the edge. I'm adding my glue, and I'm just going to pop that layer, which is just a smidge smaller, and layer it on the top here. Because what I don't want to do is get any glue on this section, so it's just gluing that little tab there. Okay, again to one side. Let's do some stamping for our sentiment as well. I want to make sure that this is right over to the one edge, because we what you don't want to do is get it you don't want to get it too far in the middle and not have space for your stoppers. So I'm just using the sentiment that I had already, which is, you know, another round for your birthday. I'm just going to grab my soft suede ink pad. And I've just popped it right on that very bottom edge there. Now, in terms of the die cutting and the stamping, let's get on with some stamping. So now what we're going to do is grab our pieces of basic white so that we can stamp our images. Now, I've chosen for my images, I'm going to use this big beer, sort of more like a beer stein, isn't it? And a standard pint glass. This is my infill for the pint glass. And then I've got this fun one here as well for the other one. And then I'm just using the foam for this set as well. And what I've done is I've smoked the outline. Oh, now was it in Smoky Slate? Certainly the this is Smoky Slate, and I'm certainly using Smoky Slate for that foam because I don't want it to be too dark. And I can't remember what colour. I think I used basic grey actually. So I'm going to go with basic grey and we'll see how it turns out. It'll either be the same or it'll be different. So smoky slate for the foam, just because it's a lighter one. Then I'm going to stamp both glasses. Grab my Stampin' Pierce mat out actually, because these are photopolymer stamp sets. Yes, I think it probably was basic. It probably was smoky slate actually. We'll see how they turn out. Yeah. Those are my two glasses. I'm going to use some crushed curry here for kind of my sort of lager effect. And I'm just hovering over those there to give our images. I'm going to use some smoky slate again. No, I'm not. I'm going to use some soft suede even for my beer glass. And because it's got the detail on it, you've got those lines already. So that's kind of it's a very dark bitter. It's going towards Guinness, that one, I think. Obviously you can stamp off to get a lighter shade, or if you do want a really dark beer glass, then you would want to to use the early espresso. Okay, so now we're going to want just our simple dies. I'm going to want those three. I'm going to want a leaf, and I'm going to want the hop as well. But before we actually die cut them, I'm going to show you how we get that lovely glossy image. And this is so simple, but such a brilliant idea. I can't remember where I saw it. All I'm using is some clear packing tape, and I'm just putting that over the top of these images. And I know you can get different widths. Mine's just like a standard, probably a 2-inch width. Now, actually, I haven't put that one down as well as I might have done. I'm just going to trim the side off. But obviously when you die cut that, you've got that glossy image. Now you can get that with doing other methods as well, but I thought this was such a simple idea, and actually having the creases in doesn't matter because you still kind of get that effect of it being a glass. So I'm just going to knock things over. I'm going to pop my dies in place with these, and as always just have a look, make sure you can see the outline of the image. And then we can pop those through our die cutting machine. Put those through the die cutting machine. We've now got a lovely glossy glass, our pint glass. We've got our little beer. Now with this, all I did was I added a very fine little bit of glue to the edge of that, and then you kind of want it behind, I felt, the edge of the glass, and just add that on to the side. And as I said, I've also die cut one of the hops, but using the foam on there, and I've done the same with some leaves as well. I'm hoping those have die cut through as well. It looks like they have, so that's brilliant. Okay, so now we're ready to do a little bit more of our construction. So I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of those. So that will also help hold that in place if I pop a dimensional there. And with both of these, I'm adding them on dimensionals. And what I did was I added my sort of big beer glass first at a little bit of an angle, like so. Then my second one. And then on this one, I'm going to use my 3D. Now if you can't get all of those pieces out, it's fine. It actually looks really effective both with and without, because you've got that die cut image, but I just thought it was quite nice to have something a little bit more sort of 3D in there as a stopper. I'm just going to pop that. I could have possibly put that a little bit further across. There we go. And then grab one of my leaves that I've got here in the corner there, and I'm just lining those up just by eye really. You can obviously write on that sentiment then, and then all you need to do is pop that on the inside of your card, and there we have our second fun layered card. So a little easel box card, perfect for popping your treats in. Once that's glued, that becomes really quite nice and firm. As I say, and you've got that reinforcement in there as well, ready to pop your gifts in. I hope you enjoy making, have fun, come back and see me again soon, and I'll have more Brewed for You projects coming up. Bye now.